Good evening, everyone. This is the January 22nd, 2020 meeting of the Urban Conservation Commission. This meeting is being broadcast live and is also being recorded for the town website, which is urbanguide.com. Before I start tonight's meeting, I'm going to ask Mr. Kravosky if he's making a recording of this meeting.
No, I am not, and I shut my ringer off.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
I
thank you.
appreciate your thoughtfulness.
My pleasure.
All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is 7 p.m. discussion from Mr. Kravosky regarding a certificate of compliance for a Diamond Buick GMC Pontiac Cadillac LLC. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, a vote. Come on up.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if the committee, thank you, Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental, representing the Mossad group, people, David Mossad, this long process that we've been in on replications and road movement and such. We're here, Mike Scott from Waterman Associates wrote a substantial compliance letter. They did the as-built for the two replication areas. One I call the western one up towards the new parking area. As you're coming off at 12 and you're on Faith Ave, you eventually take the new road. This would be to the right. You have photos of it in the package. You might have seen, I took them, the waters, we had to recreate channel for the lost channel. We had to recreate wetlands. We have come up with we do have the square footage required under the as-built. If we go to the site, if there's hasn't been a site inspection, I'd like to set one up with you. I flagged the limits of the wetland in the photos. You'll see, at least on photo number 2, you can see some orange-red flags around the western replication area, and that represents the limit, so that there was no question as far as the hydrology. That's the edge of that wetland boundary. Then the Scots, the Waterman design, picked up those flags, and also within the channel system, I put white flags to represent the center line of the channels. This occurred both on the western and eastern replication area. The eastern is up against that exit of 395 from coming out of Worcester that you would take to get up onto 20. You'll see it there, and there was a replication wetland again, creation of stream channels, intermittent. And one of the benefits, I think, of having, at least this one last point, to having this meandering system, any nutrients coming down from prime or up above, we now run them through these channel systems, through the wetlands. It helps to drop out any colloidals. It helps to absorb the nutrients. And the growth that we're going to talk about or see if you come out, we had one silky dogwood die. I replaced it with a couple more, but that's one out of with the numbers that we do have, 65 or 70. We have the exact sheets coming out of New England Wetland Plants is where we bought this material. The organic material, we put in the foot of organic, and we're down into that hydric soils, which we can demonstrate. Well, it was demonstrated by, originally through first Margaret Washburn was there, and then Jillian Davies was there to show that at the final cut elevation we would be within 12 inches of hydric soil. So we have hydric soils, plants, herbaceous layer, woody layer, stream channels. I'm specifically looking at the western now, and then this is what we also have. Also on the western, which was key, you had given us a determination for Siemens and directly above us, which now Diamond owns. We went in there and removed the exotic invasive plants right through this system. So the Tartarian honeysuckle, multiflora rose, oriental bittersweet. This summer I only had to pick out 6 purple loosestrifes. We went back and then actually there was some purple loosestrifes at the pond on Prime. There was just 3 clusters. Because I didn't want them seeding over to my area, there's no purple up in here, and I took those purples out of that ponding, that detention structure adjacent to the road, just to prevent them from coming towards me. So we went behind the parking lot and removed the exotics coming down into this area, and everything going towards Prime as you're going towards 20. If you look at the photo, we can go and demonstrate. We did have a lot of trash in that western replication area. This was the back of house lots. It was concrete, pipes, and material such as that. We removed that, and what that did do was, as Margaret Washburn originally said, well, this replication had to be brought down to the hydric soil. There was a slight hump coming from us going towards 20 and then back out down into the wetter portion of the wetland. Well, as we took out the concrete, bricks, cinder blocks, piping, this area did go down in elevation, so the area directly beyond the replication in the southern direction is at the elevation of the replication now. It was organic. There was a worry on my part also that they would start growing upland plants such as Tartarian honeysuckle again, multiflora rose, so now we're wet through the whole thing going over to the heart of the wetland that was flowing from Prime. So by bringing that down just that much more, we have less of an opportunity of growing upland invasives. And most of the invasives we had when we went in it were upland. So now we're near the water table, which helps to keep wetland plants from there and not us being seeded in by some upland vegetation that would grow from this wetland to a slight knob to the wetland, the heavier wetland or the wetter wetland, which is going from a southern, that would be going from a northern direction through this thing to a southern direction. The replication, if I just go lastly to the one which is the eastern replication area, that was that concrete sluiceway that came down out of the outflow pipe, if you're looking at it, and went through a concrete half moon. Our job was to take the half moon out, create a stream channel there. There was an overflow from that half moon concrete, which is in the photo. That's the one coming basically perpendicular to you, and then there's the channel that runs the channel that was there, which is in the center of the photo, and then you can just see the meandering flow. It started freezing. That is the channel we made in the replication. So at the toe of the slope we have a replication, a channel. Then we took all the sediment, the silts that were and sands that were in the natural channel, and I'm moving back up the picture, and then there's that perpendicular, it's almost perpendicular, that was eroding away. We brought tailings in for both the half moon when we took the concrete out, because we didn't want that to erode away, and it does have a gradient and a flow that if we just left, just like the channel, I would say the middle channel that was always there, just like that one was eroding away from flows, by putting tailings that came out of, I know we're going to tell you where they come from, the L&L concrete sifts sand in South Oxford, and as a byproduct to make their concrete, they have tailings. That tailings ideal, it looks like the bottom of a brook. It has the size going in from approximately, I would venture to say, about half inch up to 4 inch. And that's what the matrix is now in these channels, and it's staying stable, not moving, and that's what we wanted, that we weren't losing the channels once we made them and took that concrete out. And as an energy dissipator out of that concrete head wall, you can see at the top of the page, it did call for by Mike Scott, larger stones, when the water spilled out, that there would not be a plunge pool. So that's stabilized with some larger rock at the plunge. The area is stabilized in the eastern area. The plants are in there, and I'm ready for a site inspection if that hasn't occurred, if the commission so chooses to make that, or whatever else you choose to do. I know we originally had Jillian Davies out there, and I don't know how that's going to work with this certificate.
Well, I don't think we necessarily need Ms. Davies. I don't think, unless the board thinks differently, we don't have to retain her for the site inspection. The only issue, of course, is snow, and so we have some snow on the ground, so I'm thinking we may need to, I'd like to see it without any snow cover at all.
And if I could, sir, we, as you know, it's going to be melting and raining. This is a very shallow snow cover. We probably won't have any of it after this weekend, the way it looks to me. And then now talking almost no snow after that rain, that heavy rain comes in warmth.
Right.
So only because this is in front of the planning board, and they're working towards. The planning board will not make a move until the commission does their thing. So just to say that point. That's all.
So I'm thinking instead of doing it this weekend, which is was my initial thought.
Yep.
And of course we can't predict what the weather's going to bring, but I would say tentatively schedule a site walk for the following Saturday, which I think is February 1st.
Yep.
2-1.
2-1.
Thank you
say
again.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Thank you, sir.
And then we will go through it.
All right.
And
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You kind of broached the trash that's being collected. How much trash is like, kind of hanging out down?
Oh, the trash that I was mentioning, this was the back of house lots for years. So you're talking about just piping, planks, though I didn't mention the planks and cinder blocks, as I said, concrete. The back, bricks, the back of these lots where this replication is was at the toe of the slope of the old lawns.
Yeah.
So it just accumulated. I took photos, so I have,
Right.
I can bring them in to show you that we removed, that's all
That's all.
gone. We took everything off
Right,
site.
didn't we see that when we looked at those houses on the left side? There was like a brick house and another one, and it was
Yeah.
behind there, right? Yeah, I
Right,
remember.
right, right.
There was stuff back there.
The actual core of it, if I could on this photo, is here's the replication as we're going from a northern direction, which is the pike is over here,
Yep.
and we're going south. It was right after the replication, bordering what was originally called, which was a wetland delineated by Ecotech, but it was
Yeah.
higher than our water tables, but it was all this brick material. So when we took out our material, also there was one, so we did take it out. There was only one Japanese knotweed or Japanese bamboo. Once, most of that bamboo that was in this area was under where the road is. So as we went in a western direction where this is from the road, which is east of us, that bamboo was excavated out. There was none of that left because the road went over it. There was only one bamboo in this. It was at the corner, the northern corner of the replication. We went down 6 feet to get that bamboo root.
Wow.
We just tracked it. There was probably like maybe 7 or 8 stalks sticking up, and it was the first thing we hit. Don't disturb it. I'm being there, and we excavated. We took it down. You could still see that taproot. In fact, Mass DOT talks about 4 to 6 feet down to go for. If it won't go into a water, it won't go into a water table, but it will go in just to the border of a water table. That root system. So we had to take this area quite a bit down. We did take that root system out. We do have hydric soils under it, and we do have flows from up of the hill coming through it as designed. And that's why these photos were kind of important to me, that I went by there and took photos showing water was flowing through it. No more, any trash, anything that was human in there, we went after. I had 3 laborers with me, and I was 4 laborer, and then we had a mini and we had a large excavator to do this replication. And transits. This was all surveyed, transited out, laid out first by Waterman for the limits, and then we made it a little bit larger by a couple feet going in a western direction because we now own that property going west of us. And it was also, whenever I can tell you this, we were only 5 square feet over the replication requirement. So I made it a little bit larger because you're not going to come back and then have an as-built and you're 70 feet short or 60 feet short because you didn't. So we had the opportunity to just widen it a bit. And some of the original stakes for the limit of replication on the western side, there's a couple there, and you'll see that the replication is actually further in by a couple feet to give us that little bit more square footage of buffer.
Okay, very good. So, well, where can we meet you on?
Do you want to, there's, we can park in the parking lot that still has an order on it. And
Okay.
you can just drive through it and park right next to this replication.
Good.
And then we'll just walk in it, and then we'll go down to the Cadillac dealership.
Okay.
Or the side of the road, and then
Very
walk
good.
down.
Okay. And if anything changes, we'll be in touch. but
Oh, I
we'll plan on
appreciate
that.
it, and thank you.
All right,
And I-
thank you.
And if I, one small thing, I did mention that Oriental Bittersweet to your clerk, and I see that it's all gone. I did pull one out as an example. I don't know who you sent over there, but they took care of it.
I didn't send anyone.
The selectmen must have seen, I don't know if they were watching me, because I left here and I said something, I goes, I just finished the Oxford Library and I just did a church, and I'm telling Oxford, get rid of the exotic invasive. That was the Oriental Bittersweet coming up in front of the Oxford Town Hall. And so the DPW, yours down here in the front, it was just growing out of that bush.
Yeah, I saw
And so I'm over there as a maniac. And I
pulled it out of the
I pulled it out and I left the room. Did you see that?
And I laughed. I go, wow, somebody's pulling out some
Well,
weed.
guess what? I says, well, should I talk to Bill, Coyle or
Yeah.
somebody?
Yeah,
And I went by the other day and I says, there's none left in there. And then I looked harder today, surely somebody went in there. I don't know who did it. Maybe Julie Jacobs saw Glenn Kowalski ripping it out, but I was kind of like, let's get that out of
You know
there.
what, we're gonna make inquiries, okay? We're gonna
Yeah,
follow this.
but when you do, and this is the very last thing, when you're coming up the stairs on the right, there's a little bit in that bush there. I just looked at it just now. So they did really good on the left.
But if you feel motivated, just pull it out.
I told her, I said to her, you know, in the summer, if you guys don't do it, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I did say that.
All right, very good.
Okay, thank you
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right. You have a good week.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking just at my notes from our last meeting, and for the bridge replacement coming off of Mass Pike, I see that the matter was going to be continued to tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
For what?
We didn't have a DEP
File number. Okay.
Still don't.
That came through too, on your email, I think. Didn't you come through
Today.
an email today?
It didn't come through yet.
Oh, yes, sorry.
That you need a DEP number, yeah, that we need a DEP.
Yeah, so they haven't, David Goldstein, who was here,
Yes.
yeah, he let me know that they don't have a file number yet.
Okay.
I've been checking the online portal. I left a couple voicemails for Kimberly Roth as well. just to
All right.
see.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we just continue this then to our next meeting?
Continue
Okay,
to-
as a discussion item. Because I think the only thing, no, enlighten me though, we didn't close a public hearing though, did we?
For him?
Yeah.
Not for this.
No, so just continue it for the
212.
DEP file number, and then we can proceed from there. The next item is Washburn Commercial Properties, and just to let the commission know, as you will recall, we were going to issue a letter telling them to remove the snow. After the meeting, Elizabeth was contacted by Washburn, or someone from Washburn, saying that you know, that they weren't really doing it, that there was no trespass onto the adjacent property. And apparently what they did to support their argument was to provide, I'm looking at a foundation plan from 1996, and then there are some other things attached. And of course, there's no narrative, there's no one here to explain why there is no trespass. And so if this is their evidence, I'm not persuaded by it.
No.
All right, so, and again, commissioners, feel free to chime in. I think the letter goes out. I think, you know, there's, and if they, my sense is that they didn't take this seriously. They, excuse me, at the time of the last hearing, they sent someone who really didn't have much knowledge of what was going on. It was clear she was kind of a fill-in.
Yeah.
The people that do have the most knowledge are not attending tonight. And so, Lizzie, just send the letter. We talked about it, and it should go out. And if they're aggrieved by it, they can come and see us.
You had a cease and desist order.
Cease and desist,
Yep,
yes,
yep.
It's not
exactly.
even just that. Even if this is the property line, it's still a wetland.
Well, that's right, exactly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like-
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's not accurate because they expanded
No,
over there.
right.
I mean,
That's
what
right.
they're-
And-
What does the property line mean?
Yeah.
Where's the snow?
Yeah, I mean, there's no delineation of any wetland area. This evidence is not persuasive, so.
So what are we doing with them now? Just
We're sending a letter.
We sent a
Sending a
letter
letter?
telling them to stop
That we wrote last week. yeah.
dumping snow into the wetland area, and to remove the snow that they had previously dumped along with any other materials such as that car hood that we saw in
Yep.
in the
A lot of
photographs.
it's probably melted at this
Is the
point.
deadline for this still February 1st?
It can't be, well, yeah, actually, it
yeah, it's
could
gonna be tough.
be. Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
that's a week from Saturday,
2 weeks, yep.
unless the commission thinks they need more
No,
time.
I think they.
We want to look at it on February 1st either way.
So, prepare, if you can, prepare a draft, I'll take a look at it, I'll tweak it, and then we'll send it out.
And so I'm just letting them know of the deadline, obviously what you guys are requesting, and then no heavy machinery.
No machine-
to remove
Right,
the snow,
to
correct?
remove-
From the
That's right,
wetland?
if they have to
Okay.
use shovels, they're gonna have to use
Yeah,
shovels.
no machine, correct.
They want to mark their property line out there for us to look at physically.
I should
They think that's,
It's another that weekend.
Right.
So, anyway, if you can work up a
Dump the
draft,
snow, yeah.
I'll,
Definitely.
yeah, and we'll get it out tomorrow, Friday at the latest.
Do you know if the Fullers received a copy of all these pictures that
I don't know.
the neighbor took?
She was a Fuller, I think, wasn't she?
She is a Fuller.
She's a
No,
Fuller.
the gentleman that filed the complaint, though. The one
I,
that took the pictures,
I don't know.
No, I
Or
don't
he
know.
took them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he
He did,
did,
he
so,
did.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know if he gave them a copy and said, hey, here's your snow that you're throwing on my property.
I don't know if he did
Whether
or
they
not.
have them or not.
She
yeah.
took them, so I'm sure
She, yeah.
So I think they're confused, because over here they wrote property line, unless if that was just how the map reads, but I think they don't think it's a wetland issue.
No, they just don't care.
Yeah.
They just-
Yeah. And again, we're not, as I think I said at the last meeting, we don't get involved in property disputes
Right.
between butters, but where the wetlands are involved, we absolutely have jurisdiction and we can issue orders.
Yeah, the dumping snow on their own property.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
it's still just as bad.
Exactly.
It still is well, I just think that's a lot to get out of there. I mean,
For, the next one is Rebecca
It's a
Sharp.
lot melted.
Did we get an email from her?
Yes, she sent...
Charging stations.
The problem is with the
plants are dead.
arborvitaes were dead.
Yeah, the plants.
Except for except for maybe one or
They
two.
were. They weren't even, there was no green
Was
left
so
on those.
dead.
So I received an email from Rebecca Sharp on the 15th. She's thanked us for the update. We anticipate being able to replace the trees in the early spring and will provide notification once this has been achieved. Again, we greatly appreciate your help with this process.
Okay, well, good. So,
So she's going
So
to,
since we're not going to be seeing them until probably March or April with another request for certificate of compliance, I would just say take it off the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. And then last but not least is 31 Sword Street. So you'll recall that we had, Tom and I had gone out there taking photographs and there was debris in the vicinity of the wetland replication at 31 Sword Street. So Scott Goddard sent us photographs that appear to show that the area was cleaned up.
With no date.
but there's no date. Well,
But as
when I received, right?
as Hawkeye Fallon saw, there
No snow.
no, I do believe it was done after we gave him notice. The problem is that the photographs are not dated, and of course now there's snow on the ground. So
Can't see it.
I think maybe we will defer on issuing a certificate of compliance until the snow does melt, so we can go out there.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Would you like me to continue this to the next?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, because this
That'd
is
be
not
two,
public.
two,
This is
two.
just a discussion. There's no need for a motion or
For,
anything.
just one.
We sound like this. And then, with respect to the bacteria sampling report, it was provided to us as a courtesy. I don't know if anyone has any comments about it.
Right back to yourself.
If there are none, I'd say just take it off of the agenda.
Yeah, I'm
Didn't you
read that
want
over.
a better report or a more expanded
Unless we're
report?
gonna do something about it or, take something out. I mean, it's just information about their data.
But did you want one? Can you
Had a
get
sheet
it?
on that.
I mean, I don't think we can demand that she come in and.
Oh, no.
Right.
No, we
Okay,
can't.
then-
We
Yeah,
could,
it
we
is
could
what it
we could
is.
ask
Okay.
nicely.
We can all look
But
at
it
it.
says-
I can try to research some of it, or, you come up with some of the information, but some of it's on their website.
If you want to mull that over, and if you think there might be a benefit in having them come in, that's fine.
Yeah,
We can ask
Don't
nicely.
remember.
As opposed to like the mandate.
I don't remember what the results said. Do you have a copy of that stuff?
I don't think I have it with me.
No.
It's probably in my car
Email
somewhere.
it to me and I'll bring it up if I feel like it's necessary.
All right.
This one here? Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
just whips it
All
out.
right, he's just
Ton of man.
very organized.
Magic.
Well, it's not exactly magic. No. It's not as comprehensive perhaps as
They
it
have
could be.
like thing where it's like high, medium, low, and then you can see the trends.
So maybe your complaint is that it could be more comprehensive.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
It is what it is. We
How-
made the request, right?
can she have your copy?
Yeah.
So how about this? If you feel suitably inspired, if you want to maybe come up with a letter, if you think the data that they're providing us can be maybe enhanced or augmented, and explain how they can do that, we can send them a letter.
Yeah, I had my whole staff in the other car.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the meeting minutes for January 8th. And I know Allison made some changes. I looked at the minutes, and I think they accurately summarize what happened. You know? And just by way of sort of institutional history, we would, on occasion, would go over the minutes with Ms. Conroy, and sometimes substantial changes were made, but you seem to have caught on. And I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but your minutes look accurate.
I'm glad.
Look good.
So does anyone have any changes to them?
Nope.
Okay. If there are none, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 8, 2020 as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Is there any other new business?
I have one item here. I have a copy of the Conservation Commission report from last year,
Oh, yes.
and we got the email from you. Did they put that on you like in the middle of the month?
Of course they did.
And they expect it done by the end of this month?
I think so.
Okay.
So
I'm
anyway,
working on it right now, so.
Whatever we can do to assist you.
were you able to find it?
Not today, tomorrow, yeah, I'm gonna go to,
Okay. I think I told you. I think I have it on my home desktop.
yes, okay.
If not, can she have your
Yeah,
copy?
absolutely.
Wow.
Oh, Tom is just,
He's just,
there's a reason he's the vice chair.
That's it. There's election year coming up.
he's such a resource in any event. So really, all you need to do is, I mean, it's how many public, or how many meetings we had, orders of conditions we issued, enforcement orders, certificate of compliance, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And
Okay.
this is done by just reviewing the minutes from those meetings, or?
I don't know how Sheila did it. I'm
I
assuming
would
that's
think
how she
so.
did it.
That's how, yeah, okay, I can talk to Sheila too.
Yeah,
She has-
I mean, unfortunately, that could be time consuming.
It's okay. I just want to make sure I know how to do it.
That's one of your best reference,
Okay.
rather than like watching them all again.
Oh, no, please do not do that. Just like- because the meeting minutes will accurately say, you know, if we issued
Right.
orders of compliance, or our orders of condition or certificates of compliance. Okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, okay. If there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second
I'll
that.
second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed to vote. All right, everyone. Good night, thank you for coming.
Carolyn.